Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Saturday, July 2nd, 2022. Another day closer to the USA celebration of its birthday. Joey Chestnut, hot dogs, fireworks, baseball. And I was debating on how to start this show today. And it's funny on our good friend, Mr. Follow, Mr. Fade, Mr. Lucky. No one knows him that well as Luis. And I think people are going to get to know him coming soon this fall on potentially a Friday Lucky's Lobby, but we'll get into that. But he sent a picture, a GIF, a mem, whatever you want to call the stupid thing, of me peeking through the window like this, and it shows Philly 5. And we always have a little side thing. When you're betting the Phillies, obviously you want to bet them first 5 because we don't trust their back end. Well, we're on the other side. And I'm not going to say Mikolas was dominant because he wasn't. And Phillies do what they do best, get guys on and don't score. And you know what kind of bad luck that we have had here in the last couple of weeks in baseball. It's been going on for a while now. So let's set the stage here. Bottom 5, Cardinals lead 3-0. Mikolas still on the mound. We have the Cards minus a half run. Minus 105. Some people got even money. And Scott talked about Mikolas. He didn't expect him to be that sharp. I didn't either. And I didn't think, I exactly said to Scott and everyone here, my thought process was to get a crooked number, to get out early and to hold on. That was the game plan here. And Arenado, who is considered a Gold Glove third baseman, one of the best in the business, leadoff batter, error to start the inning. Now we get the bottom of the order here, and you start with an error. Now, immediately in the head goes, here we go again. It's the 5th inning. I talk about 4 and 5 out innings. You can't have it in MLB. We start with an error. Well, then what happens? Well, then it's a double. So now it's 2nd and 3rd. Now it's another base hit. It's 3-1. 2nd and 3rd, no outs. And so grounded to 2nd, 3-2, guy on 3rd, and Hoskins hits a moonshot to center field, 3-3 tie. Thanks for playing. And I just sat there, and then in come the texts, in come the DMs, in comes the, and I think I wrote one thing on my timeline, and I got out of Dodge. I was just like, it was for a half unit, guys, but it didn't matter if it was for 10 cents. It's just the shit luck that has been going on here. And of course, we had then the Cardinals full game minus a run and a half. And of course, the Phillies back end was spectacular. Then the Phillies get a homer and then another run, 5-3. Thanks for playing. So we lose a unit and a half in that game where we should have won the first half. And then after that, who knows what happens. Our only other play was Atlanta Braves team total over 5.5 for 1 unit. So we lost a half a unit on the day, but it's just the thought process, like 3-0 lead again. And my good friend, Dr. Lance, reaches out to me and he just shakes his head. And I was like, I replied to him, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. It doesn't matter what kind of lead we get. And I'm bringing up the 6-0 from the Padres earlier in the week, and they end up losing that game. So there's my rant. There's my vent. It's off my chest. It's just, I don't know what to say at this point other than we're doing the work. We're on the right side for the most part, and it's just been absolutely zero. I repeat, zero luck. And it's supposed to even up. And if it evens up, I'll be driving a Bentley within 2 months and a half or something. But it is what it is. Let's bring in my co-host, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Morning, Scott.
Morning, Jeff. Well, let's switch the gears and let's talk about the Diamondbacks last night, huh? How about that? I give out one play and holy shit, it's the only one, and it's box to wire underdog winner. How about that?
No, and I was rooting for you the whole time. I saw you get out early, and again, my dog of the day was kind of hilarious. I was on the Royals all day because it was Fado, and then it went from Fado to Bo, and from Bo to Pineda, and I was just like, I don't know even if Johan Santana wasn't going to come in and pitch a few, or Frank Viola. I just stayed away, and then again, the Royals go get out early, and I'm seeing a lot of that where the teams that get out early are winning these games. Well, ECSI VIPs, we're getting out early. We are, and we still can't win those games.
Well, baseball's a funny thing, isn't it? I mean, it's listen, um, it's the only sport where theoretically all you're doing is picking the winner. I mean, in football, you're not picking a winner; you're picking a point spread, right? I mean, you're betting the point spread in most cases. I mean, there's a timeline. There's times when you want to bet the money line on small dogs or whatever, but um, basketball, you're doing the same thing. Hockey has money lines, but they get out of hand so damn fast that you're usually doing puck lines and all kinds of stuff. So, and you're doing a lot of dogs in there, and I think baseball's turned around a little bit here. Back in the day, you were just trying to bet dogs altogether. I mean, that's what you were trying to do every day. You're trying to find a baseball underdog who's going to win the game because the sports book didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So now it's become, how do you figure out, to manage your bankroll, you got to play small favorites. You can't play big favorites, and theoretically, it's kind of hard to even bet big dogs because you're going to lose big dogs a lot. And if you're not playing big dogs on a regular basis, that payoff for when you lose those games don't come in. So you've got to find your spots and you got to pick them right. And it's ever changing because it's 162 games, and over that 162 games, every team goes through those cycles of being weak or being weaker than they were, not necessarily weak. I mean, I don't know. The Yankees are probably as weak as they're going to be right now. But in terms of would you take the Guardians today over the Yankees? Hell no. But the Yankees are as weak as they're going to be. But that's how you find your spots, right? You got to find your spots, understand who's hot, who's not, and ride with the best. And it's the only sport I know that you're just picking the winner. And holy shit, Jeff, you can't always pick the winner just in these games because baseball happens. That's what happens. Baseball happens.
And I talk about Fade the Public Friday. I talk about payday, and Friday's usually one of those odd days. I'm going to quickly just go down the board yesterday. So, the Phillies plus 128 cash against the Cardinals. Miami plus 110, 115 against Washington. Cash is there. The game that stood out to me overnight the night before was Atlanta minus 250. They got up 2-0 early. Miner actually shut them down for like to the third, fourth inning. Then they erupted 9-1 Atlanta. Big, I mean, they were minus 260. So Burns, again, big favorite, minus 200. You talked about Contreras and the Pirates. And again, I'm putting that Pirates team where the Orioles are because they're pesky. When they come to play, they play. It was just the Brewers' day, 19-2 there. Your Arizona play, plus 102, plus 105. No way in hell Zensatella ever should be favored. And they get the 9-3 win. I talked about Gonzalez, the quietest 10-win pitcher in baseball. They're now 2-0 against the Padres, 5-1. Canada Day, Berrios, the real Berrios, showed up 9-2 Toronto there. I talked about KC, 3-1 winner. You get them plus 103, 105 at the Tigers. Houston and Javier take care of business. Again, these numbers here, the only way you're going to get in is minus the hook or full game minus a run and a half. I mean, unless you want to pay a tax of 162, 175, which we don't. Tight game in Minnesota. So again, you could have snuck in the first five, I think, minus the hook. but you weren't getting the full game. 3-2, Minnesota there. Oakland, who played a serve and volley the day before against Logan Gilbert, Caprillion, 3-1 winner, and you could have got Oakland plus 160 or better against Seattle. Neither one of us like Gonzalez there. The Sox 4-0 lead, 6-5 Cubs win. That was earlier in the afternoon. Peterson outduels Otto 4-3. So again, the Mets minus 175 or better. If you played a full game run line, you beat there. And then, we talked about Lynn. Are we going to finally see the real Lance Lynn? Are we going to see the real Alex Cobb? Well, it was 1-0 White Sox. You could have got them plus 132. So the fact of the matter is, even if you tried to get cute, home team, 1.5 favorites, for the most part, you were going to get beaten yesterday. So, you're either going to pay the tax or you can't get in, Scott.
Well, it's going to get harder. It's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. And I say it's going to get harder because the lines are going to be like this. This is what you got in Major League Baseball. You've got teams that are really good, and you've got other teams that are not. And those lines dictate that, so you got to find the details and try to get into these games and figure out how things are going to work. And when you take your little shots at things, it's like today, I'm taking a little shot today because I have a feeling about certain things today. And this is I might as well just say it's the first game on the board. It's Tampa Bay and Toronto. You're going to give me McClanahan as an underdog today. I'll take it. I'm give it to me. But I'm going to play it in the first 5. Go ahead.
I saw that overnight. I'm showing now Rasmussen versus Hatch.
That's the second game. There's 2 games. So.
Oh, there it is. Okay. McClanahan versus Gosman. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, okay. There's 2 games. So I like the idea that McClanahan's a top 5 pitcher in Major League Baseball. I also like the idea that Gosman, I don't want to call him washed because that's not really the right way to say it. Over the last 7 games, he's got a game score of 50.9, 51. So that's average. He's an average pitcher. He's supposed to be an ace. He's supposed to be the guy that took Robbie Ray's spot who won the Cy Young. Okay, well, he's not that good. He's not that guy. And McClanahan is much better. Now, what you run into here is you run into the Toronto offense is like the 3rd best offense in baseball, and they hit left-handers very well. And Tampa Bay hasn't been hitting, and their guys are just, kind of meandering through the dog days of summer here. But I felt like it's the right spot to try to take an underdog with value here at plus 120 or something like that. I mean, they're minus 130 with Gosman. But I'm staying away from the bullpens. Because the reason is if you're probably comfortable, or at least I'm comfortable, with the idea that McClanahan's going to throw 5 innings. I'm pretty sure he's going to go 5 innings. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to go 5 innings. Now, having said that, does he go 7 innings? Maybe. How many times does he have to face that Toronto offense, and how many times do they get to look at him, and how many times do they get to hit him? Right? Because that's what the Yankees did. The Yankees didn't hit him right away. They hit a home run off of him or whatever, and then as the games go on, he doesn't wear down. They just see him and see what his pitches do, and they can adjust. Toronto's offense will do the same thing. I'm going to bow out at 5 innings with the idea that he's going to outpitch Gosman through those 5 innings, and that Toronto is going to be 1 run behind or even or whatever. But to me, the value there is to play him as an under. I even looked at it as a plus a half a run. What if we can be 1-1 or 0-0? I don't like that dog half a run thing. I don't like the dog 1.5, but I don't really like the dog plus a half a thing. So I'm just going to let it ride that way. And I think my number was plus 127 in the first 5 innings there. And my numbers show that both these pitchers are off great starts, but as I said with Gosman, he's a 50.9 over the last 7 starts. And McClanahan, he's a 67 over his last 7 starts, and he's a 64 on the season. So that tells me that even though he's been really good over his last 7, he's been really good all year. It's not like he's peaking. Now both of them are off of a good starts, and they both have pretty decent metrics today, but they're not the same, right? Pretty good metrics. That doesn't necessarily mean they're the same metrics. McClanahan 2.28 Sierra, 2.33 XFIP, and Gosman 387, 358. Well, there's that one run. That's the one run I need. So I look at it from that perspective. When I look at the whip rates, it's 0.7 for McClanahan, and it's 1.68 for Gosman. 1.68 for an ace kind of pitcher. That's a 1.5 guys getting on base every inning. And if that happens, I'm going to take my chances with the idea that I get what is that, 5 times 1.5? So that's like 7 and 7, 8 guys on base. I might score a couple runs here in the first 5 innings, and Toronto's going to have a harder time. They're going to have to hit home runs, and you can say what you want. McClanahan don't walk nobody either. And that's where you run into the problem with Gosman. He's got a 3.24 walk rate, 3.08 batting average against in the last month. So everything in this game to me lines up to say, hey, Tampa Bay's in it, and I think they're in it for the first 5. So that to me is how you take a shot. You're taking a shot. It may not work out, but at least you're taking a reasonable opportunity.
No, I agree with you. I mean, we got obviously a full board ahead of us today. Just with the eye test, I'm going to just go with a quick eye test, and then I'm going to pass the board over to you. St. Louis and Philly, Liberatore versus Gibson. Gibson's been pretty solid. Obviously, I had the Cardinals yesterday. I'm not going back to the well, but I expect the Cardinals to bounce back here, but I will not touch the Cardinals today. 0. I will not. Ashby versus Wilson. Again, listen, here's how I know Pittsburgh had a better pitcher yesterday. I understand that, but here's what I like to say. If you didn't have the Brewers yesterday, I'm not going to go and back them in a half run or a run line, especially after scoring 19 runs yesterday. So that's a hard pass. We talked about how bad of a pitcher Rodgers had been for Miami, and they go in and they handle, they put up early numbers and they kept cruising. I am not a Castano fan, and to be honest with you, I don't know a lot about however you say it, Trey Toll or whatever. So I'm not a Washington backer. I think they've already folded the tent. I'm passing there. Atlanta 9-1 yesterday. I am a Strider fan. I am. You're getting an actual pretty decent price with Melee. Strider has shown great games and he's shown average games. Which Strider am I going to get? Do I get in there first 5 minus the hook is the question. Now, I liked the Dodgers Thursday. I liked them again yesterday. I don't like them today. I don't. Now, with that said, I think you're getting a decent price on Darvish. He does okay against the Dodgers. I mean, the Padres can't come in here and lay an egg and lose 4 in a row here. I like the spot with San Diego here today. You talked about your swing with Tampa first game of the doubleheader. I think it's a good spot for the Padres today. You're getting some decent numbers on Darvish there. The next game, Scott, I woke up this morning and listen, Keuchel couldn't strike you or me out, okay? The White Sox gave him the biggest leash on life. They release him. In comes Arizona, and he has done nothing for Arizona. He can't even eat up innings for Arizona. Now he's pitching in Colorado today. An under-over that was 11.5, now 12.5. Now, I'm not a Gomber fan either. I mean, is this just an autoplay, take the over and hope, each team gets a touchdown? Who gets the extra point? Who gets the 2-point conversion? Do I get cute and try to use Arizona team total today? You talked about McClanahan. Lyles versus Gray, Baltimore, Minnesota. I mean, Sonny's been pitching great. He has. That's too high of a tax for me. Thanks, but no thanks. Bubik and Bo Brieske. Bo is showing flashes. We know what we talk about with Bubik. It's a hard pass. I would lean Tigers here, but I'm passing. Angels again. Sandoval showing flashes. Scotty, this is an angel number. The overnight number opened at 145. It's at 148 at Circa. Urquidy has been that punching bag for Houston of the 5 starters. I think it's a decent spot for the Angels, but the Astros bats have woken up. A gun to my head right now, I'm taking the Astros to win the American League pennant. I don't care about what the Yankees have done, but we know they're going to add some players come deadline, so we'll be interested there. Blackburn and Kirby, Oakland is all of a sudden awake. Caprillion, 1 run yesterday. I like the Kirby spot here. Obviously, it would have to be a half a hook first 5 or a full game for me there. Blackburn's been okay. He's been okay. He actually can get some innings for this team. And so, the second game, Rasmussen and Hatch. Don't know much about Hatch, obviously. Rasmussen has been one of those guys again for you. 3, 4, 5 innings. Kind of want to watch the first game. I mean, your Rays are reeling right now, and they need to stop the bleeding. I think you're on the right side with McClanahan. I think you can stop the bleeding there. But if they lose that first game, I think I would jump back on the Rays in game 2 there. Cortez and Savali, we've talked till we're blue in the face. Cortez has hit the wall. He came out guns a-blazing. They talked about Cy Young, Cortez. Well, he's hit a wall, but I don't trust Savali as well. Cease, slowly but surely rounding into form. Again, Scott, the record for Logan Webb at home when he starts for this team is like 20-2. But it's actually a White Sox number. It opened at 145 last night. It's down to 136. So I think they're really looking for some San Fran money today. But I think it's an actual White Sox number. Perez and Williams. Perez has been absolute lights out. And again, it's a Ranger number, Scotty. I'm not a Williams fan. It opened at 125. It's at 126. They're begging for Mets money. The Sox a little reeling right now. The Winkowski kid is actually pitched pretty good, Scott. I'll be interested to see what you have for him and his numbers. Not a big Mills guy, but the Cubs, as you talked offensively, one of the tops in the game right now. They rallied from 4-0 yesterday to come back and win 6-5. The Sox back end right now is just atrocious. And then again, the Yankees also playing the doubleheader, Cole versus McCarthy. I mean, I'm just going to save my breath for that. So the board is yours, sir.
Yeah, I in looking at this and kind of how my numbers show up, I use the little color codes to help me out and identify things pretty fast. And color codes red's not good. Red on the board usually indicates you're in the bottom third of baseball. Green usually means you're in the top third of baseball. So white's kind of in the average. So in today's matchups, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 pitchers of the 34. I think there's 34 today because there's like 17 games. 22 of the 34 pitchers are above average at batting average against. That means there's going to be some base runners today. I think there's going to be runs scored today, just in general, because then you can start looking at picking on the spots where you go and say, okay, well, find me a good pitcher against a bad pitcher, right? And that's the first one I looked at was Tampa Bay and Toronto. You got a batting average against of 161 against McClanahan and 308 against Gosman. I'm going to take that one. But the next one you can't do. The next one is Cole against McCarty, right? So Cole is 187, McCarty's 400. Now, McCarty's only pitched once or whatever, and he didn't do that terrible. I mean, he pitched one game. I think it was 4 innings. I think he might only give up 1 run. And he gave up a hit. I think he gave up 4 or 5 hits, whatever it was. But there's no way. And isn't he like minus 300 on the road today or something stupid like that?
Overnight minus 315, corrected line of 272 right now.
I mean, how are you going to get involved in that? There's just unless you're going to play team totals props or something. So I'm leaving that one off. I do think that's a Yankee win. I don't know how you're going to play it or what you're going to do or what you want to risk or how, but it's a Yankee win. And then the Lyles and Gray game. So Lyles is a game score 46 on the season. His last 3 starts is a game score 43. So that's about where he normally is. And he's been a game score 46 against Minnesota. So, I mean, he's a below average pitcher. Minnesota shouldn't have too much trouble here. The only trouble that I have is Gray has been really good since he came back from the IR. He's pitched 3 times. And in those 3 times, he's a game score 58. The last time out was a game score 76. So and what bothers me is they had to hit a home run in walk-off style last night to win. They were behind, and I don't know that that's going to happen today. I mean, Lyles isn't that good of a pitcher, but he has it's an interesting thing because against the roster, his xwOBA number is 379, so that's high. But in his career, his SOPS number against Minnesota is a 77, which means he's 23% better than an average pitcher. So in his career against Baltimore, he's done pretty well. But against the roster that he's going to face today, he has not done as well. And it's just kind of an interesting spot here there that way. Sierra number 511 for Gray, it's 404. So I think those are high enough for me to sit there and go, I can't find that big of an edge of that minus 220 or whatever it is that I'm trying to look right now. Yeah, it's 224 or whatever it is for Gray. So I'm just going to go and say, hey, that's a pesky Baltimore team. I'm not going to tell you that they're going to win the game. I'm not even going to tell you that they're going to cover a run line. But it's enough for me not to go and try to find a way to get in it. The game that I have a lean on here, I didn't play it, but I have a lean on this game. This is Philadelphia against Liberatore in St. Louis. And you know kind of how I feel about guys that have a bad start and then they come back with really good starts. Gibson's a game score 28 the last time out, 28. And the time before that was a 46. So it was a below average start and then a terrible start. And then prior to that, he had a 70. So I'm guessing that he's going to pitch pretty well today. His game score for the season's a 51. His game score for the last 7's a 48. So he's been a little bit below average. I expect him to pitch a pretty good game. Liberatore threw a game score 64. That's the best game he's ever had. He's only pitched 4 times. So 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So he's been off and on. So his first start was a game score 34, then a 63, then a 17, then a 64. So if you follow a pattern here, the pattern's going to show that Liberatore is going to get hit. Now, I'm not 100% a pattern guy with these numbers that way, but it does. They do kind of play out a little more than you might think. So I was looking at this game, and then the only reason I kind of backed out of the game is because, to be honest, I think St. Louis is a better team than Philadelphia, and I don't like to be in that. What is it, 130, 140 number right now? It's 120. So it's in that 120 range, which is not terrible, but to me, this is what was my number in this game? I don't remember. My number was 125, so it's about the same. I don't think there's an edge, so the line's about where it's supposed to be. If there was an edge here, I would certainly lean Philadelphia just because I think he's going to pitch better. I like St. Louis's lineup better. St. Louis is hitting offensively better right now. I don't like Philadelphia's bullpen. So if I was going to do it, I'd go first 5 innings and see what I could do there. I just think that the number equalizes the edge on the game, if that makes any sense. That Cease and Webb game, I think is interesting. It was a 1-0 game yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 1-0 game today. Now, having said that, I think Webb is more hittable balls in play than is Cease. Cease over his last 7 starts is a game score 54. So if you're going to be a really dominant pitcher, you need to be in the 60s. So 54 doesn't get you there. For the season, he's a 57, so he's pretty close. He's like that Barrios when Barrios is good. He's like, I've got to get these numbers. Over his last 3 starts, he's a game score 71. That's more like it. And his strikeout per 9, 14.8, highest on the board, best in baseball. He strikes people out. That's a good thing because that's balls not in play, right? So balls not in play. And what does San Francisco do? They put balls in play. They don't strike out that much. So that's an interesting matchup. And Webb is not a big strikeout guy, even though over the last month he's had a better strikeout rate than he's had all season, 9.2. That's high for him. He's normally below 8. So it's interesting to see how these guys match up because for the season, he's a game score 59. For the season, Cease is a game score 57, and they haven't faced each other. I mean, these teams haven't. Webb hasn't faced the White Sox, and Cease hasn't faced the Giants. So I think that's a matchup that favors pitching. So I was trying to see if I could get into this game on an under side, and I think the under was like 7. So I was like, I'm staying off of that. Where's that number at? There it is. Yeah, it's 7. And I was shaded to the over, but I still think 7's that might be a 4-3 game. And bullpens come in and, give up 75 runs or something. So I decided not to go there. And then I about fell out of my chair that I was looking at this Miami game. And I tell you, everybody, I don't like Castrano. So then when I started looking at the numbers, Castrano's only pitched 3 times so far this season, 3 times. Game score 59 last time out, 24, and then 68. Now, Castrano's pitched several years. He's pitched last year, he pitched the year before, and he pitched the year before. But he never sticks on. He can never make it. But he's pitched 2 out of 3 good starts. And today, he's a lefty going to face Washington, who's been struggling here. And this Tetrielt guy, he's made 3 starts, but he has game score 42 in those 3 starts, and he's off of 64. I favor Miami here, and I favor Miami in a pretty good spot. I just don't know that, I want to go out here. It's not a bad number. It's a pick 'em number. I have Miami favored at minus 110 or 106 or whatever my number was this morning. And now the number's about the same. I was hoping to get him as a dog. If I could have got him as a dog, I would play him in a heartbeat. So if your book, because you might have it somewhere that way, if you can get him as a dog, play him as a dog. But I'm going to pass on him as a small favorite, or I'm going to pass on him as a pick'em game.
Scotty, I had an overnight number of Miami minus 125, a corrected number of minus 105 across the board. An over-under of 9.5 that in some spots is now shot to 10. I mean, do your numbers say also that both teams are going to score some runs today?
Well, let me just put it this way. The whip rate for both pitchers is 1.41, which is in the red. That's high. The batting average against for Castrano is 258. The batting average against for Tetrielt, is 271. So that's high. So there's going to be guys on base. The walk rate for Castrano, 3.71, so he puts guys on base. Sierra number for Castrano, 5.16, and for Tetrielt, 5.41. None of those numbers indicate they're going to have good pitching performances. All those numbers indicate that they're going to have hits and so forth. I just think Castrano is a better pitcher than the other kid. The history wise, he's pitched against them before. He hasn't done that good. His game score against Washington over the last 5 times they ever pitched against them is 41. That's not good, but he's not been a good pitcher. But what I just didn't realize that he's pitched 3 times and 2 times have been good, and now he's going to get a chance to pitch against the Washington Nationals, who haven't been that good anyway. So I think that Miami needs to beat this team, and this is not one of those games that's a must-win for anybody. But at the same time, there's going to probably be some scoring runs in here, and I'm going to guess that. If I was going to do it, I'd go Miami, but I'm not going to do it because it's a flip of the coin. You don't, that's the other thing at the beginning of the show when we talked about, take your spots. You don't have to flip the coin spots. You don't. You have to find the spots that have just a small edge to them. And you play the small edges, and over the course of time, you're going to lose some of those, but you're going to win the majority of those. So you got to just keep it going. And they go in streaks too, just like everything else. You can be as hot as hell, and then all of a sudden you're as cold as ice. It's just the way it is, and you can't stop it. No matter what you do, you might go 3 weeks, 4 weeks with being cold as hell, or you can go 3 weeks, 4 weeks being hot. It's not for you to decide. You just got to keep putting them out there. Anyway, I did play the next game. You didn't like it because they scored 19 runs the day before, and I understand that. This is Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. This is Ashby against Wilson. So I've got Wilson pulled up here, or I did have. Maybe I moved him over. Maybe you moved him around. Here they are. So there were some specific things that came across here in this game. Ashby is a guy that is supposed to be as good as Woodruff and Peralta and all those guys. He's not yet. He has the stuff to be that way. He was a bullpen guy for most of the time that he's pitched, but now they've got him in a starting role off and on. I mean, he's been pitching. His game score is a 45. That's not very good for a guy that you think is going to be really good. He's off of a game score 38. So he's off of a bad start. He's getting ready to pitch against Pittsburgh. He's pitched against Pittsburgh already once this season. He had a game score 64 against Pittsburgh when he pitched against them before. He's got metrics of 3.22 Sierra, 2.98 xFIP. That's really, really good. That's where his stuff comes into play, and you can see he's dominant. 9.60 strikeout rate, and he's got a 2.40 walk rate. So he's in good shape on putting guys on base, limiting hits, and striking guys out. So balls in play, big time effectiveness for Ashby. I love it. I think there's a big edge there. Now, Wilson, on the other hand, this is Bryce Wilson that they got from the Braves, and he's just fallen totally apart. His game score for the season, Jeff, is a 28. That's not very damn good at all. And he the last time out, he didn't start the game. He was the bulk guy or whatever, so he didn't start the game. The time before that, when he did start, his game score 11. 11. That's not very good. And when you start to break him down and you start to look at Bryce Wilson's numbers, let me flip to him for a second because I've got where is he? Over here. Bryce Wilson. He is number 32 of 33 pitchers today. That's not very good either. And game log. That's what I wanted to look at. So he pitched on June the 14th. That's the last time he pitched, and he's had a game score 11. He pitched on 5/22, May 22nd. Game score 14. Again, obviously not very good. And then he pitched as a bulk guy, and then he started another game on May 10th. Game score 23. So he's just not there. He's got 33 innings pitched, 47 hits, and 35 runs. And I know that it's skewed yesterday because of the 19 runs that Milwaukee scored. But I remember talking on the show yesterday that Milwaukee was a top 2, top 3 type offense. Okay, well now they're number 1. So I look at it this way: I got the number 1 offense going against a guy that can't pitch. And then I have Milwaukee side. I have a guy that can pitch. He just has to put things together. But he's done good against Pittsburgh. So I can get into this game as with a run line at minus 130, and I think all they got to do is win by 2, and I think they're going to score. I don't think there's any reason why they're not going to score, and I think that Ashby throws a pretty good game today. So I kind of like the idea that we're going to get into this game. And when I looked at it, Pittsburgh right now is 28th in baseball against left-handed pitching, and they are 10-8 one-loss record against left-handed pitching, and obviously Ashby's a lefty. So again, here's a small little shot. I like it. Minus 130. It's not going to bother me. If they lose, then they lose. But the logic basically is, look, I got the best offense going against a pitcher that can get hit, and he's not good against lefties. And Milwaukee's hot, and I've always said this all the time. At least this year, you want to bet Milwaukee when Milwaukee's hitting. You don't want to bet on Milwaukee when they're not, even though they got good pitchers. So I'm going to bet them when they're hitting. And then the next game was you mentioned Sandoval and Urquidy. Sandoval has been just a disappointment for my side anyway, the way I look at it. What's interesting with Sandoval is that in the games he started 12 games. The Angels are 7-5. That's not bad, considering that they're not a 500 team. So 7-5 is pretty good. Now your Urquidy we talk about is the guy that you want to bet against and stuff for when you're playing the Astros. He started 14 times. Jeff, in the 14 times he started, they're 9-5 in those 14 times. So there's probably a lot of times you're sitting there eating crow bet against your Urquidy. And the other interesting thing is in the last 5 starts Urquidy's had against the Angels, he's 4-1. He's 4-1. So I don't like the idea that Sandoval is this better pitcher with a huge edge because you can wipe the edge off with the Angels have this thing where they can't go beat the Astros. And there's no question this should be a spot where Sandoval is the right guy. Sandoval's off a game score 46. His year-to-date numbers a 55. His last 7's a 53. So he's pretty consistent in that number as being a little bit above average, right? I mean, he's not an ace, but he's above average pitcher. Urquidy's off a game score 67 and his season totals a 46. So he's the one who looks at it and go, okay, he's going to get hit today. However, the SOPS plus number, so the batters against these pitchers in their career. So Sandoval against the Angel or against the Astros is a 176. That means he's 76% worse than average against the Astros. That's not a good thing to be sitting here trying to support. And his ex-WOBA number is 434. 434 is the highest on the board today, highest. And I sit here and go, how do you then dive into that? I'm not going to jump on the Urquidy side. There's no way I'm jumping on the Urquidy side. But I think when you look at it from that perspective, you sit here and go, okay, maybe it's a feeling that you have that you want to play on there, but I don't have that feeling for them, so I'm going away. Bubic and Brisky, I'm just going to pass. I tell you what, these two guys, Brisky's a 45 on the season, and Bubic's a 36 on the season. They're both bad pitchers. Bubic's off an 18, if that doesn't surprise you any, and Brisky's off a 26. Oh my God, that don't surprise me either. But does that mean they're going to go out and throw real good? No. These guys might compile another 18 and 26 up. That's just kind of the way things go with these teams. So you got no definite edge there. And I did like what you had to say about this game because I'm on this game. This is Oakland and Seattle. This is Blackburn against Kirby. Kirby's off a game score 0, Jeff. A game score 0. That's an auto play almost. I mean, it's almost an auto play. If you had a score that low, you're going to pitch pretty well today. And Kirby's already pitched against Oakland before. He threw a game score 56 against them. Now, I will say, okay, Blackburn's got a game score 54. And just remember what we talked about with Sandoval. He's a 55. So, I mean, would you really have thought Blackburn has the same numbers as what Sandoval has?
I told you he came out this year and his numbers were deceiving because Oakland was losing, but he was getting into the 5th, 6th inning. He was eating up innings. The problem with when he pitches, and it's just every day for this team, Oakland just can't score. They can't score. So he's pitching his ass off and he's just getting no support.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. I think he's hit his wall. He's a game score 54 for the season. Over his last 7, he's a game score 47. And over his last 3, he's a game score 34 with his last time out of 41. So to me, that game score 41 is pretty damn consistent with a game score 47 for his last 7. And I think that he's sort of hit that wall a little bit. He's a game score 35 because he's pitched twice, 35 and a half against Seattle. He has done terrible against Seattle. And over his last 5 starts against Seattle, is a game score 39. So that's not good. He's got an ex-WOBA number against their lineup of 432, obviously not good. And his SOPS plus number in his career against Seattle is 132. Again, not good. So you're telling me I can get Kirby, who should be, bouncing back from one of the worst times he's ever had, and is a 0. I think that that's going to be a good spot here. And Seattle, first 5 on the run line is minus 120, which is what I played. I don't necessarily need to get involved in Seattle's bullpen, and I know it was a 3-1 game yesterday. So I'm just going to kind of stay away from the bullpens. This is all about, I think Kirby beats Blackburn today, and that's what I'm going to go with. Maybe somebody decides they want to go the other route and play the full game on the run line, but I don't trust Seattle to be a home team and cover that 1.5. So I'm just going to play them on the first 5. So I have 3 plays. Those are my 3 plays. Now, in terms of the rest of the board, that Perez and New York Mets game, I don't like Williams at all. I think Williams gets hit. I think he gets hit hard. I think he gets hit often. But he's off a game score 0. Oh, no, he's not. That's a mistake. It's not a 0. It throws a 0 up there when he throws a bulk game instead of be as a starter. But he's a game score 44 on the season, and Perez is a game score 60. Game score 57 over his last 7 starts, and he's a game score 60 over his last 3 starts. So I thought he was starting to fade away, but he's really not. He's still there. The New York Mets need to win some of these games because Atlanta's coming. And they're playing Cincinnati, so they got to beat this team. So we'll see if that actually happens. I think Williams gets beat today, but I'm not going to go bet on it. Atlanta and Cincinnati. Strider is 2.88 and 2.71 xFIP and Sierra today. Really, really good numbers. But Maui is 3.09, 3.32, right there. I mean, that's pretty good too. And what I thought was really interesting, Strider's got a 12.60 strikeout rate, right, per 9, which is really high, but it's not as high as Cease. And then Maui, 10.43. 10.4. He's got his shit together, man. He is pitching very well. He's off a game score 61. His last 3 has been a game score 65. His last 7's a game score 56. His last 7, 56, is better than Strider's last 7 at 54. So Malley's been really good here. So I'm not going to go, and Strider's off a 72. So I'm not necessarily going to sit here and tell you Cincinnati's going to beat Atlanta today, because that would be stupid. But at the same time, I think they're going to be competitive here, and especially if Strider gets hit, gives up a home run or 2 or whatever, it's going to be a little harder. And then you got Rasmussen and Hatch. Now, my numbers are going to be a little flawed here, but Rasmussen hasn't pitched for a month. So this is one of these guys coming off the IR again. I don't like to bet those guys. I don't want to be on those guys. His game score for the season's a 51. He did pitch against Toronto earlier this year with a game score 63, and he's a game score 59 against Toronto in his last 5. So he's done good against Toronto, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go bet him today because he's coming off the IR. And now Hatch is a call-up. Thomas Hatch is his name. And he's done this for several years now, been called up here and there in spot starts. That's because you got a doubleheader today, and they're just going to say, hey, look, I need the pitcher to pitch tomorrow, so you got to pitch the second game today. So, and he's pitched against Tampa Bay before, and he had a game score 58 in that start. So I don't think there's an edge either way. So if you were going to do this, you would want to bet the offense. And if I was going to bet the offense, I'd certainly be betting on Toronto. I almost bet Boston today because Winkowski, I think, is a much better pitcher than Mills. Mills sucks. Mills is off of a game score 9. That's his first start. Now he's pitched 2 or 3 other times, ramping up in relief, trying to get back to a starting role. But a game score 9, Jeff. I mean, holy shit. And Winkowski's a game score 55. For the season, he's a game score 50. And his last 3 is a game score 58. He's only pitched like 4 times. But what I thought was interesting with his numbers for Winkowski is that he's kind of right in that average area. 3.73, 4.01 is his xFIP in Sierra, which is average. And with Mills, you can't really get a good number yet because he hasn't pitched enough. But his number is showing 8.51, 6.48, which is not good. And I like the idea that Witkowski can pitch better than Mills. What I don't like is that he's not a strikeout guy. Because he's not a strikeout guy and Chicago's hitting, it kind of steered me away to take a road favorite today in that regard. So I just stayed off. I liked what you said about Darvish. I want to play Darvish, but I can't bet on San Diego today. They're the 29th ranked offense right now, 29. And I get it. They need to get some juice going on that team, and especially offensively. And Machado hasn't been playing, so it's one of those spots where you got to find somebody that's going to go up there and hit the ball. Darvish is the better pitcher on the mound today, and it's by far. It's not even close. He has been really good against the Dodgers too, and Anderson has been decent against the Padres in his career. And he's off of a bad start, a game score 37. So, you sit here and you look at it and you go, I think I'm going to take that shot with Darvish, kind of like what I did with the shot with McClanahan. So I don't mind that. I think you got a better, you're in a better spot, but that lineup for San Diego is not as deep and not as potent as what it is in the Dodgers side. So there's a reason why they're the favorites tonight, and I understand it. Even though you got a better pitcher with Darvish, is going to have to be, a game score 70 type performance tonight for them to win, and he certainly might go out there and do that. Keuchel and Gomber, I just passed altogether. I didn't even want to look. I didn't really. I put the numbers on here, but Keuchel's terrible and Gomber's worse. So what are you going to do there? I'm like, holy shit! Play the over. Well, everybody and their brother will be playing the over in these games. So I'm just going to stay away from that one. So in recap, the 3 plays I played McClanahan first 5 plus 127. I played Milwaukee Ashby on the run line minus 130, and I played Kirby in the first 5 minus 120.
No, and I like where your eyes are on all 3. I would stay away, obviously, from the 12 o'clock start. I like the Seattle spot a lot today. And what was the other play the Brewers? Great spot for them yesterday. I see everything that you're saying. I'll dig deeper once we close up the shop here today. A lot of these games, guys listening today with us, just fathom, we came on board at around 10:45. We're 55 minutes in. That's the depth, the work, the numbers in just one day of baseball. And as Scott said, it's baseball. It's 162 games, and you're looking at matchups where you think you have an edge, and then you peel the layer back a couple more layers, and then you find out some hidden gems behind that. So for myself and my team right now, it gets tiresome just to come up and say, okay, we're leading 4-0, 3-0. It's the bottom of the 5th. the bottom of the order where you're supposed to win 9 out of 10 times, and then you get the error, the infield hit, the bloop single, and then the 3-run homer. Thanks for playing, and it gets frustrating. So that's why we leaned to the Braves team total yesterday. Might be looking at some team totals today, but there's a lot of work, a lot of time that gets put into this. It's not just wake up, look at the sheet, and send 5 plays out at 9 o'clock in the morning and then run to the beach. And then if they win,
Well,
they
for us, it's not that way. For some people, it is.
So I can't thank everyone enough. Scotty, great job as always. Tomorrow's still up in the air. I think I'm going to run a quick show in the morning with Riley to get everyone all set for the 3rd. The 4th itself, I know we could potentially do a show at night when you get back. We'll weigh that one out. It's a lot of day baseball and a lot of night baseball. So we'll try to get some kind of content and some kind of feel for everyone, how the board looks there. So just keep an eye on our timelines and we'll keep you up to speed there. So with that said, everyone, listen, please, please, please wager and invest responsibly. If you do have a problem, just pick up the phone. There is an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Scotty care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB, we wish everyone a blessed day, a happy 4th of July weekend. Have some fun, enjoy the family, friends, the cook, the beaches, the hot dogs, whatever makes you smile, and we'll catch you soon.